sounds to me like what they've always said since I've lived out here about earthquakes.
Right.
Which is like, oh, the big one is coming.
The fault.
The fault. And the big one is coming.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that.
But climate change is not the big one.
No, I'm talking
I'm talking
about an earthquake.
Yeah.
I'm just making an analogy because I thought it was interesting the way you put it. And I have had that feeling since I moved here about the earthquakes, which is, okay, you keep saying we're due, and then we're really due. And in the last 10 years, going back almost 10 years, I remember people saying, maybe not in so many words, but letting the people who kind of could read between the lines know, this is going to come in the next 10 years. And now we're almost up to that 10-year point when I heard that.
Yeah.
So, like, it's the same thing with global warming and the destruction of the planet environmentally. Is it going to happen? Yes, I believe it is too. 7 years? Probably not, but possibly. Like, we're spinning the wheel on it. It could be 7, or it could be 70, or it could be never because they figure out how to fucking foil it.
Yeah.
Or maybe they were, look, they're not always right about, I wish they would stop predicting environmental repercussions because they've done it a lot and it hasn't happened. Mm-hmm. Like in 2003, James Hansen, the NASA guy, was like, if we don't completely reverse what we're doing in 10 years, it's too late. Well, it's like 13 years past that deadline and they're still saying it's not too late because you can't ever say it's too late.
Yeah.
It possibly is too late. We possibly already cast the dice, but we don't know. So 7 years, I wouldn't take that bet, but it should be on the table.
Yeah.
That's so.
Now, as you travel the country, you are like, I remember it's been so long since I toured America, 5 years. But I remember, like, I think it was an Indiana gig I would play once a year, and I'd pass the one barn with the Confederate flag on the roof. Mm-hmm. That was one place. And I could always open with that story. Oh, you guys still let that guy live here? I've been
right.
So what do you make of the MAGAs that live in the areas maybe most impacted by climate change? And they are still in their denial, and why? When you're a farmer, when your job depends on the weather.
Well, first of all, they're not all in denial. There is plenty of farmers who are on that page. They're not idiots necessarily. But the other reasons why I think people are sort of in the dark about global warming, sometimes if they're in their own news silos, it doesn't get on their radar. They don't report it on Fox News.
Yeah.
It's just not an issue. It's not like an issue they disagree with. It just really doesn't exist, except to sometimes have debunkers on. And there are reasonable people like Bjorn Lornberg, who is, somebody I think maybe MSNBC won't have him on. And he's not a crazy person, but he has a different view of what's going on with the climate. He doesn't deny that this is happening. He's being just more measured about it. I don't agree with everything he says, but I listen to him and he's not crazy. That kind of person, we don't allow that kind of person anymore. You have to be all in on what your team is doing.
Yeah.
So on Fox News, they don't hear about global warming.
Yeah.
And then they also are religious. I remember the Oklahoma Senator Jim Imhoff once said, he's the guy who brought a snowball into Congress once to prove that global warming was false, that you can't write this shit.
Yeah.
And he said his idea about global warming was, yeah, God's still up there. Okay, you can't argue with God still up there.
Yeah.
It's just not on it. You're playing tennis and I'm playing soccer on a different field.
Right.
And so it's just not, and it's,
But that's what I wonder how, I don't mean any farmers in those regions. I mean, if you're a MAGA person and you're a farmer, how do you reconcile what your eyes and ears see in front of you and what your...
Okay, but what do your eyes and ears see in front of you? They see the same world as it's always been. Yes, sometimes...
More floods, water's rising.
But you know what? Floods do come and go. And floods have been here forever. It's in the Bible. Mm-hmm. So, how much of that is global warming? My view would be some. There are souped up conditions that create more or blah, blah, blah. But we were going apoplectic here in California for a very long time because it never rained. And then what happened this year? Mm-hmm. It fucking rained until the people here were saying, good God, would it stop raining?
Right.
And in one month-long period, we kind of got out of the drought emergency. The
No, because
rivers
we don't have the ability to capture it.
No, that would make it better, but I read we like the reservoirs have water in them. The LA River is actually a river again. I mean, what I'm saying is it's partly cyclical, and this shit has always gone on, and that's what a farmer sees. And there is an element of global warming changing things. But since it's basically the same shit, the sun comes out, it's not like the seasons have ended. It rains, it doesn't rain, there's good, there's bad. This is farmer's life, is like, oh, I hope it rains this year. Oh, I hope it's a good harvest. This is one reason they started religion. So you could pray to somebody and say, for fuck's sake, would you make the corn grow? Because we got to make soda.
Right.
Oh, wait, we don't make soda yet. We're ancient people.
But still, there's a reason to have a deity, to pray for crops.
Exactly.
And by the way, I was shocked. Well, I shouldn't say even, I'm a Chicagoan. I didn't know how much of the hate that was coming toward me was also made lots of Jesus tie-ins. Like, people would go religious very quickly.
Is that right?
Yeah, very quickly. So I learned that marriage is more than I was even aware of. Like, I would say 90% of the folks that have a problem with me, at some point they'll bring in Jesus. And usually they are what I would call extremely religious. I mean, I was raised...
Hey, thanks for watching the clip. Hit the subscribe button now so you never miss out on our Club Random content that's posted daily.